Hello and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another GT Sport video. This time round I'm going to be doing something I haven't done for a very long time, and as you've probably noticed from the thumbnail, it's a rally versus. Now the last time I did this, it was the Classic Mini versus the Alpine A110, and out of that the Alpine was an absolutely dominant car. But since then we have had a lot of car updates, and with them have come another couple of classics that I wanted to put against each other, and that's the Lancia Stratos and the Renault R8 Gordini. If you follow the channel, you would have seen me do drift setups for both of these cars, and you'll also know that I absolutely love them. The Gordini in particular has been a great addition to the game in my opinion, and as these were both originally rally cars, it just felt right that they would be the next ones to get this treatment here on the channel. Now, in terms of rally and GT Sport, I have kind of stepped away from it for quite a while. It's mainly down to the fact that Dirt Rally 2 came out and it took up a lot of my time. But I do feel like I would like to get back into it again, so this is going to hopefully be the first of many videos that will be coming out. We also know, or hope we know, that the Tundra is going to be within the next car update. So again, it's going to be interesting to see what that's like versus the Raptor, which is already within the game. So expect one of those videos to come out as well in the near future. I will put a link down in the description to that previous video between the Classic Mini and the A110 in case you missed it first time round and you want to go and check that out. But with this one I am going to follow exactly the same format. So the main goal of this was to make sure that both cars have exactly the same power to weight ratio to make it as fair as possible. Now on the face of things, these cars aren't particularly well matched. The Stratos definitely has a lot more power straight out of the box than the Gordini, and on top of that the categories that they've been placed in are very different. For some unknown reason, this Gordini got thrown into the Group X category, which makes no sense to me at all. Now, there might be some of you out there that understand why that's been done, and if so, please use the comment section to let me know down below. But both cars are rear-wheel drive. They are slightly different configurations between the two. You've got a mid-mounted engine in the Stratos and a rear-mounted in the Gordini. And most importantly for this test, they are both adjustable to the point that you can get that power to weight exactly the same between the two cars. So here is what I've actually come up with. Now the Gordini is fully maxed out there power wise to what you can do, so I've set that to 244 brake horsepower versus the Stratos is 287. However, what's happened here is I've adjusted the weight on both cars, so the weight on the Renault there works out at 765 kilograms versus the Stratos is 901. So what this means is that both cars are actually running exactly 318 brake horsepower per tonne. And the only real variable now that's going to be within this test is me as a driver, and obviously certain cars work better for certain people, and that's going to be the only thing that's going to vary with this. I would like to say that I love the Gordini and I love the Stratos the same. I've put a lot of time into both cars. Now the setups that I'm going to be running on these, I have allowed myself to adjust them so that the cars feel comfortable as well, but there's nothing there that's really going to separate the two on paper. And just like the last video, I am going to be limiting myself to just 6 laps with both of these cars in a time trial on Sardinia. Now I'm not going to bore you to death by showing you all 6 laps from both cars. What I will do is just show you the fastest from each one. Now what I will say is, obviously with both of these cars I am pushing as hard as I can to get the best time I can. I have used them individually quite a lot over a long period of time since they came out, and I enjoy both cars, so I've had a lot of time with both of them. However, when I'm pushing as hard as I am, I'm going to make mistakes, and I have no doubt that if I spent more time with them and continued doing more laps that I would have improved on these times. So once I've shown you that fastest lap from each of those cars, I will also put up on the screen the screenshot from after the event of where I've messed up within those 6 laps, and I will quickly talk about those with you as well, so it'll give you an idea of just how much improvement I probably could have made, and like I say, going forward I could probably improve even more than that. And the last thing I need to quickly mention before we get into these laps is the fact that both cars will be set to 1 when it comes to traction control. Now this is something I've done with all of my rally videos previously, and I just want to keep it the same throughout because it gives me a better understanding of exactly how each car is performing against the other. And on top of that, they will both be set to automatic. Now I don't typically drive in automatic, but with these sort of comparison videos, it just feels like the fairest way to do it. It takes the human element out of it. I can't make any mistakes when it comes to changing gear. The computer will be handling all of that, and that's why it's set the way it is. So let's get straight into this, and we're going to start with the Gordini. So what you're seeing on screen now is actually my fastest lap that I achieved within those 6 with this car. If you have been with the channel for a while, you will know that I absolutely love this car. I did a drift setup for it before, and I do think it's one of the easiest cars to control, certainly on a track. And it has to be said, again, on the loose stuff, this car is absolutely exceptional. Now, I have allowed myself to adjust the suspension and ride height and things like that with both of these cars to get them comfortable for an off-road scenario. And what I will say is that the Gordini in its standard format does feel very, very firm. Certainly on this course anyway, you've got those big jumps at the start-finish line. And unless you're adjusting that, this thing tends to just fly through the air, and it just slows you down. You end up smashing into walls. So certainly you do need to adjust that a little bit to get it comfortable, or at least I did. But just like on the track, this thing in the corners is so much fun. It just has the perfect amount of grip. When you need it to slide, it will slide, but it's so controllable. It will get you to wherever you want. It's like you could just point it in a direction, the car just follows, and at no point does it want to hiccup and sort of cause you any issues. And just like the Alpine as well, it has this incredible sense of speed. Bearing in mind the car only has 244 brake horsepower. It feels like you're driving a 600 horsepower car. It just flies along the dirt, no issues whatsoever, and it's just so enjoyable to use. Coming onto the finish straight here, you can see what I mean. The car just wants to flip backwards over the bumps, and that's even with me adjusting it, so it's definitely something you need to pay close attention to. And so there we go. The Gordini comes in with a best lap time there of 1 minute 30.023. Now, looking at the after report here, you can see there's a couple of sections which I actually did quicker on other laps, so there's definitely room for improvement. Certainly section 1 I handled better on the first lap out, and section 4 there on the 5th. However, I'm reasonably pleased with that time, but yeah, is it going to be enough to beat the Stratos? Let's have a look. So here we go. This car, very much like that Gordini, is incredibly easy to use, and it feels really at home here on the dirt, as you'd expect it being a rally car and everything. What I will say though is that this one, unlike the Gordini, needs far less adjusting when it comes to the suspension. It seems to naturally get over the bumps a lot easier. And it's also important to remember that this has actually been detuned for this test to get it to that same power to weight ratio. You can push this a lot further, and it becomes quite competitive against a lot of the actual rally cars within the game that you might not expect it would be good against. Without a doubt though, the biggest difference between these two is actually the way they feel, and it's a difficult thing to explain because the Gordini feels great, and like I just said, you feel like you can put it wherever you want and there's no issues with it. However, I think down to the fact that this has a mid-mounted engine, it actually feels like the weight is actually distributed better. There's less sort of, weight over the back end, feeling like it's going to come round all the time. But you still have enough control, and it doesn't want to understeer either. It's just sort of a perfect balance between the two. Now obviously, with these cars set up the way I have for this test, we're not expecting there to be a huge difference between the results here. However, it is going to definitely show how much better one is at handling than the other one. But until we see those results, we're not going to know. However, watching this footage back, and certainly while I was driving with the Stratos, it feels a lot smoother to use, and there's not much I could do with the Gordini to actually make it feel as good as this car did. And the Stratos there manages to do a 128.954. So there's only about a second between the two, but we have got a definite winner, and that will be the Lancia Stratos. So again, looking at the after event report, it's very evident that there's a lot more that this Stratos can actually give, and if I'd carried on, I feel like I would have done a lot better with it. Lap 1 for me was by far and away the best one up until that final lap. And on that final lap, the only thing I improved on was section 1, and I got a blister in time there, but everything else was actually slower. And if you put all those times together, it would have been a good 2 seconds ahead of that Gordini with the time that I posted. Then couple that with the fact that this has been detuned, and obviously once you actually tune this car fully, it becomes a bit of a monster. So we've definitely got an outright winner here. It's the Stratos. I'm a little bit surprised, if I'm honest. After driving that Gordini, I was expecting it to be just as quick, if not a little bit quicker. But actually driving them back to back like that, you do realise just how good the Lancia is. That's going to be about it from me today. I really hope you've enjoyed today's video. It's a little bit different from what I've been posting lately. If you have enjoyed it, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. I really appreciate it if you do. Also, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. I've got content like this coming out all the time. Also, don't forget to let me know down in the comment section if there's any other games you'd like to see me playing, or if there's any specific setups you would like to see here on the channel for GT Sport. Don't forget, I will be covering the new cars that will be coming out tomorrow, hopefully at time of recording this, and expect to see something rally related with the Tundra when that does happen. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you all on the next one.